The Possibility Igniter, Sha Nacino.
Teacher. Good afternoon, everyone. Are you happy to be here? Okay, if you're seated beside a woman, can you please tell her, you look blooming today? Okay, and if you're seated beside a man, can you please tell him, you look kind? Okay, so gentlemen, did you like that? You look kind. And ladies, you look blooming today, right? So today we'll talk about a very important topic, which is all about human connection. Human connection leading across generations and across cultures. Okay? So, all right. Who among you here are from the Philippines? May I see a raise of hands? All right, make some noise if you want. And let's welcome our delegates from here. Who among you here are from Vietnam? All right, can we give a hand to our Vietnamese friends here? All right, Thailand. Thailand, yes. China. Yes. Indonesia. Yes. And of course, Japan. All right. So I hope I called everyone. Is there anyone here from another nationality that I was not able to call? Or everyone was called? Sir, from the US. Can we give a hand to sir from the US? Okay, so today we'll talk about a lot of things. For example, EQ in leadership, leadership diversification, strategic communications, generational harmony. But let me share with you this. I will not bore you this afternoon. Okay, you don't need to memorize anything. We are humans. We already know what we need to know. So I'm here to remind us what we already know. And we're going to have a lot of fun as well. Do you like to have fun? Okay, who among you here are math people? Math people in the house? Love formulas? You love numbers? Wala? Okay, I thought a lot of us here are engineers, logical people, therefore we love math. Okay, I know a lot of you love math here. So I'll share more about that in a little while. I'll also be sharing with you a formula that I developed on how to connect with people, regardless of generation and regardless of culture. Because although there are different stereotypes, for example, if you're dealing with traditionalists or Gen Z or Gen X, Gen Y, we all have different priorities, work ethics, etc. But deep within, as humans, there are these two things that we direly need. And we'll talk more about that. So that when you communicate with someone in your organization, you don't have to decipher, is this a Gen X? Okay, what does a Gen X say? Or is this a Gen Z? Is this a Gen Y? Is this a traditionalist baby boomer? You don't need to do that. Because deep within, if you know these two basic needs that every human needs, you will know how to talk to these people. You will know how to communicate in a way that will make that person feel seen and valued and feel that he or she matters. I'm sure you've already heard this, that people leave organizations because of their managers, because of their leaders, right? Maybe the company is giving the best compensation out there. Your work is something that you love doing. But if every day in and day out, you need to deal with someone who has such a toxic personality or attitude, it rubs off on you. And the worst part is that that person can create the culture within your organization, within this particular team, and then teams, there's a ripple effect. And before you know it, that person can actually create a toxic culture within the organization. So as leaders, you are in positions of power right now, wherein you can create the kind of culture that you want to create. A culture wherein you get excited to go to work each day, even if the workload is so heavy, because you're excited to see your workmates. your team members would be excited to go to work because they would see their boss. And they get so inspired just looking at their boss, just observing their boss. Do you believe in that? Okay, I believe in that. I used to work for a bank, for a multinational bank for 9 years. And even if on the first year, I already knew that this was not for me. I'm not meant for this. I'm meant to write books and speak. I stayed in the company for 9 years. And do you know the reason why? It is because I'm so excited to see my office mates. I'm so excited to observe my boss and learn from my boss. Of course, not all my bosses were great. There were bosses wherein, okay, these are the things that I shouldn't do as a boss. For this boss, these are the things that I want to do as a boss. So I look at it as a learning opportunity for me. But there is a way to create that culture wherein if you are the leader, your team members would be excited to go to work because they would want to see you. They would want to learn from you. They would want to see, why is this boss has such a positive attitude? Why is it that when I talk to my boss, to my leader, I feel so good within? I feel like I can do anything. There is a way to be that kind of leader. And I know you are already that kind of leader. Okay, can you look at the person beside you? Do you think that that person is already that kind of leader? Don't be judgmental, okay? All right, for now, let's have a little game. It's called Human Bingo. And maybe you've already heard of this game called Human Bingo. So what we'll do is that each of you will receive a piece of paper. You will go around. So please move around, go to the other tables, and then ask the person in front of you, okay, which one of you fits this particular description. And then that person will sign her name. Just make sure it's readable. Maybe your initials. Just sign your name where it fits in the box. And the person who will complete the 5 squares, either diagonally, horizontally, or vertically, will win. And there is a special prize for the first 2 winners. So if you were able to complete if you were able to do the bingo, complete the bingo, just shout bingo and then come in front. And then we will verify. We'll verify. We'll verify if indeed those people signed their names here. Okay? So is the instruction, did I
Is it necessarily different person?
Yes. So for example, if one of you fits all of this, don't sign on all of the squares, just one. 1 is to 1. All right. Thank you for the clarification. So we'll be distributing this, and while you're playing this, we'll play some live music, and then it's a fun way of getting to know each other outside work. All right. Okay. So we will please get one and pass. Thank you. And then let's play music. Thank you.
Pattern, di po ba? Ito yung mga first 5 lang pa. Bingo na.
Please move around, move around. So this is such a great opportunity for us to interact from different nationalities, from different countries. So don't sign your name on your own paper. Someone has to sign their name on your paper.
Thank you. Okay.
So let's go. What do we do?
It's not already. Okay.
Para hindi kayo mahirapan mag-switch dito.
Please, this you have to do it, right? Yes, of course.
I can sign. Okay, ito na lang. We have a winner! We have one winner! Wow! Okay, sir, please come here. So we have one winner. Wow! Wow, You're so strategic. Yes, you are so strategic. You talk to 4 people.
Yeah, I'm only fine. How who
Yes.
is here?
Right.
Not looking for a lot.
You're very strategic. What's your nation?
Sura Thai.
From the which country?
Thailand.
Thailand. Oh. Engineering did very strategic. Accurate. Just 4 people. Okay. We'll wait for 1 minute.
Chicken. I have chicken.
Bingo! Okay, we have 2 winners. Oh, we have 2 winners. Okay. All right. Can you give yourselves a hand? Thank you for being so game.
More than 2.
All right. Can you give yourselves a round of applause? Thank you for being so game. Let's get to know the winners, Suvu and Ted. Okay. Suvu from Indonesia. Sir, you're from which country again?
From Europe.
Pinoy madam? Yes, looks like you're all having fun doing the bingo. So we already have 2 winners. Playful. You playful out. Yes. Bingo. Yes. First, congratulations for bingo. Bingo, correct. Congratulations. Yeah. Okay, everyone wants to be a winner. Yes, bingo, correct. Oh, sayang may nauna. Okay, so people are very competitive here, huh? We already have 2 winners, and there were a lot of you who contested the winners. Please don't worry, this is the first of many fun things that we will do today. Thank you. Yes, you're bingo. The children in us came out today because of this activity. Okay, I'd like to call on stage Ted and Suva Chai. Ted and Suva Chai. Please come up here. Yes, Suva Chai. So, first of all, can you please give yourselves a round of applause for playing full out, for being so game? Thank you. And of course, we'd like to congratulate the first 2 winners, Suvo Chai and Ted. Okay. This is very interesting for Suvo Chai. He only talked to 4 people. Very specific, very strategic, and
I'm
accurate.
looking for is only 4.
Yes.
People looking for, right?
So, but let's verify if these people confirm that they are these people. Has been with the company for 10 plus years. Sao Pui?
Sompasong.
Sampasong. Has been in the company for 10 plus years, all right? Has children.
Aku?
Okay, confirmed. Happily married.
Amity Malice. Sue.
Zoo, are you happily married? Okay. Enjoys hiking.
Okamoto.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Please stay. I have a prize for you. And then for Ted, okay. Has worked in more than 3 countries.
Mr. Watanabe.
Watanabe, more than 3 countries. All right. Speaks more than 2 languages.
Mr. Higuchi.
Mr. Higuchi, confirmed. All right. Has been with the company for 10 plus years. Ariel.
Mr. Ariel.
All right. Has traveled to Europe.
Mr. Milin.
Milin. All right. Has completed a marathon.
Sir Gary.
Sir Gary, all right. Thank you. So, we have a prize for our 2 winners. And these are your prize. Yung dalawang books. Okay, so this is my latest book, Love Yourself Today. Congratulations.
Something.
Yes, yes, I will
Yes.
sign. I will sign later during the
Okay.
break. Thank you so much. Ay, that's for Ted. This is yours.
Hey.
Okay. Congratulations. Can we give them a hand again? And there's someone, one of you gave me her paper and said, I should be the winner. Who's this person? Like, who is this person? Okay, remembrance, Beth. Can we give a hand to Beth? At least he fought for herself, right? She knew how to speak for herself and she fought for herself. Even if there's the probability that she will lose anyway. So that's courage. All right, so I hope you all had fun playing the bingo game. And I hope also that game gave you an insight on who the people in this room are. Okay? So now let's go to our training, the human factor leading across generations and across cultures. So as you can see, we were all from different nationalities. We were all from different generations, right? Different cultures, different generations. But what was so common when we played the game? What was so common? Did you have fun? Communication, yes. And some of you were very competitive as well. You were very competitive. You really wanted to. You played full out. So we were from different generations, different cultures, but at the same time we're united. Because we're united. Why is that? Because at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we all have these basic needs. All right. So before I share with you what are the two basic needs of every human are, I'd like to share with you the differences between generations. Okay? If you are from this generation, please make some noise. So let's reveal your ages here. Okay, traditionalist or silent generation. So these are the people born from 1928 to 1945. So at present, you are 79 to 96 years old. Anyone from this generation, silent generation? Or would you rather stay silent? Okay, silent generation. I think these are from maybe for some of you who are young like me, maybe this is the generation of our grandparents, right? So according to various resources, they are the loyal, dependable, and disciplined type. Usually, these are the types of people who would stay in one company all their life until they retire. So very loyal, very dependable. If you tell them something, they just do it. They have so much respect for authority. Okay? All right. I'm sure some of you now belong to this generation. Baby boomers in the house. Baby boomers in the house. Those are those who were born in 1946 to 1964. Currently, they are 60 to 78 years old. Do we have baby boomers in the house?
What if they want to remain silent?
Yeah, we can respect that. So baby boomers, these are their qualities. So my papa belongs to this generation, hardworking, motivated, team-oriented, hardworking. So also they're dependable, right? If there's a task assigned to them, consider it done because they're so hardworking, they're so motivated from within. Okay, can we give a hand to our baby boomers in the house? Our baby boomer. Okay, now the next generation is Generation X. So a lot of you are from this generation. Generation X, may I see a raise of hands? So those born from 1965 to 1980? Majority, all right. Ages 44 to 59 years old. So this is you. Majority of you are from this generation. You are independent, do you agree? Resourceful. Agree. Adaptable. Agree? Okay, by the way, I didn't include any negative traits from different generations because I don't want to create conflict right now. I want to stay connected with you. But do you agree with these general definitions for your generation? Yes. Okay. Are you proud of this? Yes. All right. Now let's go to Gen Y. Millennials in the house. May I see a raise of hands? I'm a millennial. I'm a Gen Y. Who else belong to my generation? Okay, Gen Y. Okay, so we are collaborative, tech-savvy, and ambitious. Also, when you deal with the millennials, money is not the issue anymore. Money is no longer just an issue. If we want to keep millennials, raising salaries is not the solution. Because millennials want to find meaning in what they're doing. They want to feel that they're connected to a purpose. They're purposeful. And a lot of times millennials would jump from one job to another. It is because if they don't feel a connection with their company's purpose and culture, they keep on moving from one company to another. But a lot of millennials don't know that that's actually what they're looking for, meaning. They just jump from one company to another, and I know for a lot of people and organizations, there is a negative connotation when it comes to millennials. Millennials, hard-headed or stubborn. It's because someone reacted. Okay, it's because, when millennials really have so much passion for what they do, they're very ambitious. It's not about money anymore. It's really about making a difference. So obviously, I'm biased when it comes to generation. I'm sorry about that. I know a lot about my generation. And Gen Z, do we have Gen Zs here? Gen Z? So maybe some of your children are Gen Zs. So born 1997 to 2012, right now you are between 12 to 27 years old. So the youngest is 28 and above here, right? Because we don't have Gen Zs. Okay. So they're innovative, socially conscious, and digital natives. So the people born in this generation it's like their phones, the digital world, it's already part of their life. When we were kids, especially 90s kids, I'm not sure anymore about 80s, 70s, 60s kids. I'm not sure, but 90s kids, we didn't have internet back then, right? And we would play outside. How about from the other generations, 80s, 70s? It's the same. You would play outside instead of inside, like playing digital games, right? It's the same. So there. So these are the different generations, and it's important to know what are the general characteristics of people from these generations. It is important to know. At the same time, I'd like to make a caveat that each person is different. You can be dealing with a group of millennials, but they're totally different from each other. You can be dealing with the baby boomers or traditionally silent generation or Gen X, but they're totally different from each other. Right? So these are the usual connotations, these are the usual stereotypes that we have from different generations. And yes, it's important to know what matters to them. But at the end of the day, we have to take into consideration that people are different and the same at the same time. So people are different, people are unique, they have unique sets of values, beliefs, motivations. What's good is that as a leader, you don't have to profile the person in front of you and say, are you Gen Z? Are you Gen X? Are you Gen Y? Okay, wait a minute. What's in my notes regarding Gen? You don't need to do that. Because if we know these two basic things that people direly need, regardless of our generation, regardless of our culture, if we know this, it gets easier to deal with people, regardless of the ranks as well in the organization. Do you want to know what these two basic needs are? And these two basic needs are so important for leaders because you can be the best leader. You have the most brilliant ideas, the best solutions in the house. But if you don't know how to communicate with the people around you, with your team members, using these two basic needs that they have, they may not hear what you're saying. You may have the best intentions, they won't hear it. It will not land in their hearts. And worse, if they don't feel these two basic emotions, these two basic needs, when you say something, maybe they're looking at it from the lens of, what does this boss want from me? Do I feel used? Do I feel abused? Do I feel not taken care of? Should I now look for other jobs in other companies? Why is this boss suddenly kind to me? What's his intention? hidden motive, right? So you will be looked at through this lens. And instead of your team members looking at the actual ideas and you talk about the ideas, you talk about how to make work better and more productive, they will look at your intentions first. But if you are so clear about these two basic needs and you talk to them, every time you communicate with them, you remember these two basic needs, then it gets easier to talk to them. Do you want to know what these two basic needs are? Yes? Okay, attend my next seminar. I'm just kidding. Okay, these are the two basic needs. At the end of the day, we all want to feel valued and to add value. I'm not sure if you've ever felt this, but have you ever felt sometimes wherein someone is talking to you, maybe a colleague, a boss, and you feel like you want to say, "Can't you see me? Don't you know who I am? Can't you see me? Why do you talk to me like that? Why do you talk down on me?" Have you ever felt that? You don't need to admit if you felt that because maybe your teammates would see it. But I know we all felt that. And there is this dire need amongst people to feel seen and appreciated, to feel valued, to feel safe. And if people in the organizations don't feel safe, you'll observe muted meetings. And sometimes during meetings, you would ask for opinions from team members, or maybe your team members have great ideas, but they would have to second guess themselves. Should I share my idea with the team? Should I not? Because maybe if I share with the team, maybe they would say that I'm trying to be pabibo. It's a Tagalog word meaning you're trying to make yourself rise. It's like you're trying to make yourself known. Or maybe you're scared that when you share your idea, your boss will kill the idea and you'll feel down within, and then you'll have to motivate yourself again. Right? So deep within, these are the two basic needs that we have. We all want to feel valued and we all want to add value. I've talked to a lot of leaders in different organizations, not just in the Philippines, but also in different countries. And I asked them, so what's your biggest problem right now? And for a lot of them who told me that their biggest problem is the high attrition, I asked them, why is that? Why do you think there is high attrition? And then they said, oh, we conducted exit interviews. And those who wanted to resign said that they wanted to resign because they don't feel like they're growing. And you know, if you peel off the layers from these people who resigned because they feel like they're not growing, it is because deep within them, they feel like they're not adding so much value to the company anymore. So there has to be a good balance between feeling valued and then adding value at the same time. If all you feel is your boss would just tell you, oh, you're so great, you're so good, and I really appreciate you, but you're not adding value, you will still feel demotivated because you feel like, wait a minute, I know I can do so much more, I can be so much more, but I'm not growing in this company, I'm not contributing to this company. So how do you strike that balance? And that's what I'm going to share this afternoon. And when I tripped, I heard crack. So imagine I was seated on the pavement, and because I heard the crack, I was crying because I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong, and there were so many things going on in my mind. I need to go to the hospital. Passing by, and I was crying. No one dared to sit down with me and ask, are you okay? And I was trying to understand the psychology of people. Why was there no one who helped me? Maybe because they also don't know how to help. And a lot of times this happens. People want to help, but they might be they're afraid that when they offer help, they might be rejected and they might feel humiliated. Because imagine a grown up, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with me, right? But I was crying. So maybe people are just wondering, did someone break up with this person? Should I intrude, right? Or should I respect her privacy? So no one dared to come beside me. Good thing there were security guards who gave me first aid, and then my brother rushed to my rescue. So we went to the ER, and it was confirmed that there was a crack in my fifth metatarsal. So I was in a wheelchair for 6 to 7 weeks. So from someone who's very active, I would walk 10,000 steps per day. Not as active as Sir Gary, who would do triathlon, but very active, 10,000 steps per day. I was bound to a wheelchair for 6 to 7 weeks. And after a few days, I decided, okay, I'll be the most joyful and grateful person in a wheelchair. And I did some experiments. When I was already pretty strong, I would go to the mall by myself in a wheelchair. So I would wheel myself downstairs, and then the guards would help me get in a car, grab car, and then from a grab car, a guard will help me get down, and I would mall around the mall, Shangri-La Mall, just to do an experiment. The experiment is, will there be people who will offer to help me? Because I was doing an experiment for this particular talk. And for the other talks I did as well about compassionate leadership. And there were mall goers who will tell me, oh, you're by yourself. Do you need help? In Tagalog, kawawa ka naman, I pity you. Let me wheel you. Where are you going? So I went to the spa. I went to the spa in a mall. And when someone would offer me help, I would say, yes, please. When someone would ask me, do you need help? I would say, yes, please. And I feel so happy that someone's helping. And I know that that person who is helping is also feels that he really, really matters because he is adding value to my life. He is adding value to me. So when you allow other people to add value to the organization or to your team, you actually make them feel good about themselves. So the question is, how do you make people do what you want to do? And the passion or the inspiration to do it comes from them. They don't do it just because the boss told so. The boss said so. They do it out of the joy in their hearts. How do you make them do that? So the secret is to make them feel valued and to give them opportunities to add value. We'll flesh out this in a little while because I actually prepared a formula on how we can do that. Okay? So eventually I was promoted. I got a casting role at Star Wars. As you can see my booth here, my booth cast. So I attended the wedding and I was using a walker. Do you have senior citizen parents or grandparents? Of course you do, right? So during the time I was in a wheelchair, it was a very humbling experience for me because when I'm in the mall and my family would wheel me, my classmates would be toddlers, pets, or senior citizens. And then one time I went to my client's house. So I was in a wheelchair and then I had my walker. Her senior citizen mom came out. She also had a wheelchair and she had a walker. So it was a very humbling experience for me. But at the same time, it was also a beautiful experience for me to see how people want to feel valued and add value, especially in that situation. So we'll also be talking about different leadership styles. For example, if you're dealing with millennials, Gen Zs, Gen X, if you're dealing with different types of personalities, what is the leadership style that you need to implement or you need to adapt, right? And I know for sure that you've attended a lot of leadership trainings already. So I will not bore you into defining what these leadership styles are, but let's just take a look at each of these leadership styles. Authoritative, it means that you are the boss. I am the boss, do what I say, right? Democratic, it means you give everyone a voice. So the problem with democratic is that if everyone has a voice, so who has the biggest voice or the voice that has the most weight, right? And then coaching, it's like you don't really tell the person what to do, but you ask questions, you guide the person, you ask questions, and then hopefully through the questions that you'll ask, the person that you're talking to will realize what to do and it will come from her. The other is situational. So depending on the situation, what kind of leadership style will you implement, right? Today, I'd like to introduce another leadership style, and it's called compassionate leadership. May I see a raise of hands? Who among you here have heard of the term compassionate leadership? Heard? Okay. Who among you have not heard yet compassionate leadership? Okay, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. So, may I see a raise of hands again? Who among you have heard compassionate leadership? May I see a raise of hands? Heard. Okay, heard. Okay, just heard. You don't need to know more about it. Just heard. Okay. Who among you have not yet heard compassionate leadership? Not yet. How about the others? How about the others who didn't raise their hands? What could be the possible answer? Sir, I'd like to hear. I'm curious.
I didn't raise my hand, but I know compassionate leader.
Okay,
Yeah.
you've heard. Okay. So you've heard it. You know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Who among you are adopting compassionate leadership already as part of your leadership style? Adapting, formally adapting, informally adapting. Wants to adapt. All right. So we'll talk more about that. And compassionate leadership is not a soft skill. Compassionate leadership belongs to the courageous leaders because it takes a lot of courage to be compassionate. Do you believe in that? It takes a lot of courage to be compassionate. So a lot of times when we hear, oh, she's a compassionate leader, oh, maybe she's a softie, he's a softie, he's a pushover. No, no. Compassionate leaders are some of the toughest, fearless leaders we can have today, in this day and age. And especially in this day and age wherein there's AI and there's a huge possibility that our jobs can actually be replaced by machines and AI, right? So in this day and age wherein we can potentially be replaced, what could be our competitive advantage? Be a compassionate leader. And I'm going to share with you a formula on how to be a compassionate leader. And like what I told you, being a compassionate leader is not for the weak. Weak leaders are status quo leaders. Why? They don't dare to listen, really listen, and understand where the person is coming from because they're not sure. Do I have the solution for this? Do I have the capacity to solve? Do I have the capacity to really listen and care about this person? But compassionate leaders are courageous leaders. And regardless of the situation, regardless of the generation you will lead, if you are a compassionate leader, you are a human leader. You are a leader who knows how to connect with the person you're leading. And you know, this is very interesting because this is not only applicable to the workplace, this is also applicable in our personal lives. Okay, just a survey. Who among you here are married? Please raise your hands, married. Okay, okay, keep your hands up, happily married. Alright. Okay, okay. You all passed the vibe. How about singles in the house? May I see singles in the house? All right. Singles na wala. Okay, I'm single as well. Who else are the singles here? All right. Single and proud. Okay. So, compassionate leadership is applicable not just in the workplace, but also in relationships. Okay, I'd like to talk to wives. So we have wives here, right? Okay, do you have husbands who don't give you flowers, but you really, really want to receive flowers on Valentine's Day and anniversary? Yes? Okay. And maybe year after year, anniversary, bittersweet emotions because you're hoping that your husband will plan something out and will give you flowers, and for some reason, year after year after year, he's not giving you flowers. Guilty. And you feel like, does he love me? Does he love me not? Does he love me? Does he love me not? They say that replace complaint with appreciation, right? Replace frustration with appreciation. I would say replace frustration with compassion. What if the reason your husband is not giving you flowers is because for some reason, up to now, he hasn't understood yet that is really a need for you. And you still need more years to catch up on what you really need. So you can show compassion. You would see on TikTok, on social media, if he wants to, he would, right? But that's not totally true. If he wants to, he would, if he could. But what if he couldn't? Because maybe his male brain is so hard to understand, and he cannot comprehend the need of a woman to receive flowers. Right? So you can replace frustration with compassion. He's a good man, he's a one-woman man, and there are so many good things about him. So how is that applicable in the workplace? So let's say, for example, you're very particular about being on time, right? You're very particular about being on time, and for some reason, this colleague of yours, whenever you have meetings, he or she would always arrive late, 15 minutes late, 30 minutes late. Now, sometimes we say things like, doesn't he respect me? Doesn't he respect my time? Doesn't he know how much I value my time, right? So it becomes about us. It becomes about us, our needs. And maybe we have wounds about us being abandoned, and then about we have triggers and things like that. So it becomes about us. Doesn't he know how I value time? Doesn't he respect me? Why is he disregarding me? Because maybe in the past we had experiences wherein we felt disregarded, disrespected, and then we equated that in the present. If we replace that frustration with compassion, we could ask ourselves, the king, what's the matter with this person? Why is he always late? Maybe there's something going on in his life that I may know. And maybe you can find creative ways to know that without being, in Filipino, meaning marites or chismosa, it means being nosy. Maybe there's a way for you to find out that. But even that perspective, that maybe the reason this person is always late is because there's something going on with this person. Or maybe you have teammates who are not delivering. And you get so frustrated. Why can't you get my instruction? I've been telling this to you over and over again. Why can't you get it right? And you get so frustrated and you feel like, are you not listening? Don't you respect me? Are you not listening? If we replace that with compassion, we say something like, I wonder what's going on with this person. Maybe he has problems in the house. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe he or she couldn't focus. Right? So we are replacing frustration with compassion. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that. To be a compassionate leader takes a lot of courage and bravery. Okay. So, a lot of times, there are things happening in the workplace that get to our nerves, right? That frustrate us. Maybe people, maybe it's workload. The key as leaders, if we want to be compassionate leaders, is to learn how to connect with ourselves first. If we want to connect with other people, we learn how to connect with ourselves first. And then we check also how's our emotional EQ. So, this is revelation time. We'd like to see how's our EQ. And don't worry, you won't need to show your EQ with your team, with the person beside you. It's just for you, okay? Just check as a leader. Are you in your head too much? Are you being so logical? Did you forget that you also have emotions? And the people you're dealing with are humans who have emotions as well. Right? So how are you dealing with your own emotions? So I'll give you 1 minute to answer this quick emotional intelligence test. So just go to this link. Just scan the QR code. We will play some music.
It's time to come together.
See
It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world.
Thank you, Nika. Na. Thanks, Nika. So it will ask for a zip code. You can put any 4-digit numbers actually.
Isa nila tayo binibigyan.
The highest score.
I-edit niya rin. Tapos pag
Who's not happy with the results? And then you tell yourself, let's deal with that later. Okay, so how was your experience taking the little test on EQ? Did it reveal something about yourself that you said, oh, I didn't know I have a high EQ, or I didn't know I need to improve on my EQ? So what was the revelation like for you? So maybe we'd like to hear from you. Okay, here's what it gets very exciting. You can volunteer someone from your table. You can volunteer someone from your table. Is there a mic on your table? Oh, there are 2 mics here. Okay, so let's get to this table. They have 2 mics. Who would you like to volunteer from this table? Okay, can we give a hand to Lynn? Okay, let's encourage Lynn. Go, Lynn!
ano po sasabihin?
So, how was your experience doing the EQ test? What was the revelation that you realized about yourself?
Okay. For my score, ano ba score ko?
Yes, if you want to, you can share your score. Only if you're comfortable.
Okay, I got 80
Wow!
points. Sige, emotional to eh. I have a high emotional intelligence according to this test. So somehow I'm happy. Somehow pa, no? So I actually was quite surprised because there are some questions that come confused how to answer it. I just follow my instinct. This is how I deal with this situation. So that's why I'm very surprised that I got high EQ score. Because sometimes I get emotional easily. So somehow happy.
Yay! Thank you, Lynn. Can we give a hand to Lynn? Okay, let's listen from one more from you. So we have a representative from the Philippines. So which country do we go to? So since Lynn spoke, Lynn will choose which table, and then from that table, choose your representative.
Okay, let's try from China.
Okay, our Chinese friends here.
You have a score. Yeah. You have a score.
Not Chinese.
But I have Vietnamese.
Finished, but I didn't keep the score. But I saw my score. I think it's 80 something. Yeah, sometimes yes, emotional for me is sometimes it's hard to challenge, but I can control it. Yes, but I'm surprised as well. I can get a high score for this. That is for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you, Mr. John. Can we give a hand to John?
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone here who was not happy with the results? Not happy, and you want to contest the test. You want to say, no, this is not true, this is not accurate. I have high emotional EQ. I have high emotional quotient.
Everyone calling for your name now.
Okay.
What kind of comment?
Are you happy or not happy?
My score?
Yeah.
My score is 64. But normal. So some questions are very difficult. So I understand my myself. That's why so they are interesting my comment, but I don't have a good comment now. Too much late scoring. Just now finish. The 64. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So it's good that at least we are aware how's our emotional quotient, where we are at. And like Sir said a while ago, he said it's normal, there's no comment. So you accepted the score, sir? You're okay. All right. Okay. So now, let's talk about, let's have a case study. Have you ever been in a situation wherein you felt like you needed to please your superior, and at the same time, you also needed to serve the people in your team? Have you ever been in that situation? And it feels like what the management wants is different from what your team members would appreciate. Have you ever had that experience wherein you felt conflicted? Okay, who do I serve? Is it my superior, or is it my team? Are my team members? Have you ever had that experience before? Okay, let's assume you had. Okay, let's assume you had. So while you're thinking about that particular situation in your head, let me give you a case study. A couple of months ago, I was approached by the organizers for a summit, and the attendees will be 900 government officials who are in their 50s to 70s, so mostly baby boomers. And the organizers said, Sha, can you give a talk on ethics to government officials? Now, they're in their 50s to 70s. I'm very young. I look very young. I don't say my age, but I'm a millennial. And I said, oh, that's a very tricky topic. For me to talk about ethics to government officials, that's a very tricky topic. Imagine you're a government official, regardless of which country you're from, and then you are asked to attend a seminar on ethics. How would you feel? Even if you're not a government official, even if you're let's say there's something happening in your department, and then suddenly you are called to attend a seminar on ethics, how would you feel? It's like there's something wrong, right? You can be defensive. So I told the organizers, okay, let me think about this. Let me strategize how to go about this topic. Then I'll get back to you. So I got back to them a day later, and I told them how I plan to do the talk. And then the organizers said, Sha, instead of doing 45 minutes, can you do 1 hour and 30 minutes? Because we really need this topic on ethics. So, as a speaker, there is this client that I need to serve because they're the ones paying me my professional fee. But there's also this group of people who I need to serve in the actual talk because they're my actual audience. So how do I bring the agenda of the people who will pay me in such a way that the people who I will actually serve will not feel like they're devalued? So how do you do that? The answer lies in strategic communications. I will share with you later on how I did that. But think with me for a moment. Was there a time wherein you were asked to do something, and the two parties that you need to serve have conflicting interests? The management and the leaders that you lead. Right? How do you manage that? There is a way to bridge that gap and serve both without alienating the other. Okay, there is a way to do that. And the way to do that is to be human and to be strategic at the same time. All right, next slide. So, let's talk about compassionate leadership because this is so needed in this day and age. If we want, Nika, can we give a hand to Nika? Thank you, Nika. And also the team behind this. Thank you. So, what is compassionate leadership? Compassion comes from the Latin word compati, which means suffer with. And why are we going to talk about suffering? It is because there is so much suffering in the workplace these days. There is so much suffering in life. in the workplace, let's talk about suffering in the workplace. According to Gary Nami, who is the founder of Workplace Bullying Institute, bullying and mobbing at work remains widespread, acceptable, and even promoted. So in the workplace, when the boss is so rigid and have an iron fist, it feels like these type of people are the ones getting promoted, right? It feels like when you're compassionate or when you have soft skills, it feels like you're perceived as weak. It's time that we change that status. It's time that we change that dynamics or that perception. Okay, but let's talk about bullying in the workplace. I'm sure bullying is not happening in your workplace, but let's just take a look at what's happening in the world. Okay, so what does bullying look like? Direct attacks, yelling, verbal humiliation, silence, ostracism, exclusion, hostile looks. So someone reacted when I said hostile looks. Okay, indirect forms, spreading rumors. In Filipino, we call this chismis. In other countries, maybe being nosy, talking badly about other people, sabotage, imposition of unrealistic targets and deadlines. That's a form of bullying. According to the Workplace Bullying Institute. So like what I said, I know this is not happening in your workplace, but we're just revisiting this because this is happening in the world right now. And according to surveys, like research from the Workplace Bullying Institute, 53% reported verbal abuse in terms of swearing, name calling, and yelling. Have you ever been yelled at work? So that's a form of bullying, according to the Workplace Bullying Institute. 53% mentioned being the subject of cruel behaviors such as humiliating, intimidating, and threatening behaviors. So this include if there's a meeting and you feel and you contributed an idea and you got humiliated, that's a form of bullying. And that is contributing to the suffering in the workplace. 47% reported being mistreated by their managers. So how do we define mistreatment? It could be something as there's favoritism, or you were passed up for a promotion. You deserve the promotion, it was given to someone else. Or you were not given a fair chance at all. Or there's an internal vacancy in this particular company. It was not announced to everyone, but someone was already chosen for that position. Or maybe it was announced just for formality, but there was already I like this person, I'll get this person to this position. So it was not fair. And what are the effects of bullying? It really affects morale and productivity. And at the end of the day, as companies, we need to produce to be sustainable, right? It increases absenteeism. There is psychological pain and there's health condition. So I'm not sure if there are companies right now who have leaves when it comes to, for example, if team members would say, can I go for leave today because I'm emotionally in pain? Is there a leave for that? None, right? Or can I go on a leave today because the person I was courting snubbed me or declined me? Is there a leave for that? Heartbroken? None, right? For emotional pain, there is no leave. But bullying affects now the physical condition of the person. So there are health conditions involved. And now when someone says, I want to go on leave because I have headache, that's a valid reason to take a sick leave, right? So those are the effects of bullying in the workplace. It really affects not just the psychology of the person, but also the physical health of that person. So that is why it is very important to talk about compassionate leadership. Compassionate leadership is a way to be human and leader at the same time. So it's all about, so if I were to define compassionate leadership, it is the art of making your team feel inspired and cared for. They feel inspired, meaning if they do something, it's not because you told them to do it, but it's because, yes, you told them to do it, but they took ownership. They feel inspired to do it. They made a decision to do it because they want to do it. And why? Because they feel cared for. And because of that, you unlock their potential, and you drive results for the company. So that is compassionate leadership. So how does it look like? It's all about balancing humanity and performance. Of course, we want to be humans, right? We are talking about we are talking about humanity, human connection. And what is the purpose of that? It's not because we want to have fellowship. It's not just because we want to have fellowship, we want to have fun with our workmates. But at the end of the day, it's because we want to produce. We want to share in the bottom line of the company, right? So that's the reason we are humans. We have human connection so that it drives results. So it's all about balancing humanity and performance. So how do we do that? So I'd like to repeat my question this morning. Who among you here love math? Sir, okay. I thought there are a lot of engineers here. Who among you hate math or were traumatized by math? Really? Okay. So, math. I love math. I love math. It was my favorite subject growing up. If I wanted to relax when I was in elementary, I would solve math problems. The more challenging and difficult the problems were, the more excited I got. So I was very weird as a child. Although 90s kids, we had those outdoor games, right? Which I also loved. But I really, really loved math. And the reason for that was because I was a bit lazy as a student. With math, if you know the formula, you practice a bit and you're off to go. Okay, so why did I share math? So by the way, this was the topic of my TEDx talk. What math can teach us about igniting possibilities. So I don't solve math problems anymore, but I use the problem-solving skill set I learned in math to solve real-life problems, work problems, and leadership problems as well. And math is all about formulas, right? There is a formula for everything. I remember when I started writing a book, I didn't know anything about writing because I hated writing, I hated reading. When the idea of writing a book came to mind, I said, I don't like it. I don't want to write a book. But then, because I didn't know how to write a book, but then I figured, even if writing is on the creative side, there has to be a formula. So I created the formula for writing a book. There is a formula for writing a book. Okay, can I prove to you that you can write a book if you want to? Can I? Okay. Can I? For others, for some said, yes. Okay. Who among you, have you ever sent a text message that was understood by the other person? Raise your hand if you did. Of course, you did, right? Have you ever posted something on Facebook that was understood by another person? Yes? Okay, here's another question. Can you write a sentence? Yes, of course. So let me prove to you that you can write a book if you want to. Sentences make up a paragraph. Paragraphs make up a chapter, and chapters make up a book. So it's just a matter of how do you put those sentences together to create paragraphs, paragraphs to create chapters, and chapters to create book. It's all about going to the basic, right? Formula. If you know the formula, you're plug and play book. So I used this formula. I created a formula for writing a book, and I was able to write 15 books so far. And I said, okay, here's my challenge for myself. I want to teach anyone who wants to write a book how they can write a book in 90 days, even if they're not writers, and even if they're busy in their jobs or businesses. 90 days. That was the challenge I posted to myself using this formula. And the result, we have 200 plus authors already who were able to write, publish, and launch their books. So these were the book launches that we did. So there is a formula for writing a book. Now let's talk about formula for speaking. Who among you here are shy and introverted? Shy and introverted. Okay. There is a formula for speaking confidently in public, even if you're shy and introverted. So for example, are there any of you, when you are called to speak, you're so excited, yes, call me, call me, call me. Or when you are about to ask to speak in front of other people, you say, don't look at me, don't look at me, not me, not me, not me. So you're laughing because a lot of people are afraid of public speaking. I was also very afraid of public speaking before. In fact, I was a wallflower when I was still working for a bank. You would see me in the hallway and you would say, "Oh, you're working here." And I would say, "Yes, for 5 years already. In fact, we're teammates." So the teammates is an exaggeration, but people on the same floor wouldn't know that I worked there because I was such a wallflower. I couldn't even talk in front of my teammate. And then I remember when I was in college, there is this communications 2 subject, which is all about writing. And my professor declined my thesis statement 5 times. When I asked her why, because I really needed my thesis statement to be approved so I can write the paper. Because again, remember, writing was my Waterloo at that time. So I was so stressed out because the finals will coincide with the deadline of paper submission, and my thesis statement was not yet approved. So I talked to my professor in private and asked her what can I do? And then she said, "Talk to me in class." So it meant I needed to raise my hand in class and ask her a question. So after 2 sessions, I gathered enough courage and then I raised my hand and I asked her. And you know what the professor said? With a look of disbelief and frown on her face, she said, "You know what? Your question sucks." Now imagine an introvert person who gathered enough courage to speak up was silenced. The psychological safety in that room was very, very low. And because of that, I dared not recite in the entire class for the entire semester. And not just that, the entire college as well. And finally, when I was in my 20s, I decided to really overcome my fear of speaking. I attended this club called Toastmasters. Is anyone familiar with Toastmasters? So it's a public speaking organization. And I was to deliver a speech in front of 20 people. So I stood in front of the lectern and I was so scared because I forgot whatever I memorized. I could feel that my palms were sweating, my knees were shaking, and the worst part was I could feel that I was about to cry. I didn't want to cry because I was already in my 20s then. And so I said, "Oh, there's a lectern like this." So I hid behind the lectern. And while I was hiding behind the lectern, I said, "Oh, you might be disrespecting your audience." I stood up again. I faced the audience. And at that point, my tears betrayed me. I was already crying. I looked at the people around me, the 20 audience, right? Because I was really trying to remember my speech. I looked at them and I saw that there were 3 of them who were crying with me. So my speech was very effective, even without words. And then they said, "It's okay, Sha, take your time, take your time." So I was really taking my time to recall what I memorized, but I couldn't recall it. And then I took my time to cry. So I just cried in front of everyone. Like I was looking at them, what do I do? What do I do? I'm just crying. Okay, I'll just cry. And then when there were no more tears left, I went back to my seat, and that was my first speech. So I was such a worst speaker back then. Fast forward to today. When I'm asked to speak in front of other people, I get so excited, like, yeah, this is party for me. This is party for me. This is my version of partying. It's more fun than eating ice cream. I love desserts. I was talking to some of the members here, and I missed dessert this lunch, even if I loved it, because I didn't want to compromise my voice while serving you as a trainer for today. So that's how much I love speaking. And this is my vision. I want to create a new generation of CEOs and leaders who will be brave enough to speak in front of other people, even without notes. Because what I noticed is that in my profession as a professional speaker, when I speak at annual conferences and events, and the CEO would deliver his opening remarks, I would observe the same thing, not just in the Philippines, but in other countries as well. Do you have observations as well when the CEO, what are your observations when the CEO would deliver, a CEO or C-suite leader would deliver his or her opening remarks? Usually with notes, right? With notes. So I was able to talk to a lot of CEOs and I asked them, so why do you read notes when you deliver speeches? And they said, it's because So for them, they said, afraid of public speaking. And because you're so high up there, it's very risky to speak without any notes. Because what if you forget your lines, right? And then the other thing, for some of the CEOs I talked to from different countries and across different industries, they said that oftentimes they don't have time anymore to write their speeches. So someone would write the speech for them. And at the actual event, they would read the speech. And I remember this particular event that I attended. The CEO gave his opening remarks, and he took out a piece of paper, and then he said, "Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm very excited you're here. I'd like to share my thoughts with you." And I was evaluating his speech. Was it well written? Yes. Was it well organized? Yes. Was I connecting with him? Was there human connection? At that point, no. And I have so much respect for the CEO. He's a great CEO of that huge company with thousands of members. But see, you get judged. He spoke for 2 to 3 minutes and he got judged. I didn't judge him, but he got judged. I couldn't help but form an impression, right? And he got judged by the 400 people who listened to him. He may be the most brilliant CEO, but if you don't know how to communicate your message with charisma, with confidence, you may be perceived as a weak human being, as a weak leader. And even in organizations, if you don't know how to present your ideas with conviction, even if you have the most brilliant ideas, your ideas will not fly. And that's why So I remember when the CEO was reading his notes. So I remember that a lot of them said that they asked someone to write their speech. So I could imagine maybe while he was reading his speech, he was saying, "Oh, is this me? Did I really say this? Did this really come from me?" So maybe even he was not connecting with the message. That is why the audience was also not connecting with him. So it's very important to have that skill to be strategic when it comes to our communications as leaders. Because again, no matter how brilliant the ideas are, if you don't know how to communicate it well, it won't fly. And so that was my dream, to create a new generation of CEOs wherein they're not scared to speak in public. So I have a program at the Asian Institute of Management wherein I teach public speaking. So on the 6th session, there is a graduation wherein the leaders will speak in front of everyone without any notes. And all of them had breakthroughs. Because again, there is a formula. There is a formula. And even if you say that you're scared, you're introverted, you don't have the skill to speak, as long as you can open your mouth and you can say a sentence, you can speak with confidence in front of a lot of people, with competence and with vulnerability, which is so needed these days. We direly need authenticity, especially from leaders. Okay, so now I'd like to share with you the formula for compassionate leadership. Okay, so leading with care. This is actually a formula. CARE is an acronym. Humanity. It's a balance between humanity and performance. So it's all about connection. Under humanity, it's all about connection and appreciation. Under performance, it's all about responsibility and excellence. Okay? Because at the end of the day, we don't just want to be to have fun fellowship with our colleagues. At the end of the day, we want to produce. And especially, I'm very honored to be here. You are leaders. You know much more than me when it comes to leading people. You know much more than me. I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm just here to remind you what you already know. A fun, getting to know about you what you already know before. Okay? So it's all about humanity and performance. And remember when I shared, this was actually according to the research of a couple, Ivy League professors, Isaac and Ora Prileltensky, that at the end of the day, we all want two things. We all want to feel valued and we all want to add value. If you take a look at the Gallup survey, so Gallup is well known for its employee engagement surveys, right? Questionnaires. There are 12 questionnaires there. If you take a look at the questions, each of the questions from the Gallup survey, it all boils down to this. feeling valued and adding value. So if we know how to strike a balance between making employees feel valued, team members feel valued, and giving them opportunities to add value, then we strike the balance between humanity and performance, which is so needed these days. So there, compassion is all about feeling valued, and then courage is all about adding value. So humanity and performance, that is why I put courage there, because compassion and courage go together. You cannot be a compassionate leader if you're weak, if you're afraid. It takes a lot of courage to be compassionate. Okay, if you want, you can take a picture, that's okay. You can take a picture of this diagram. So I love to make things simple, right? I love to make things simple. So maybe you're saying, okay, how do I begin? How do I become compassionate without being a pushover? How do I become a compassionate leader without being seen as weak or as soft? You know, compassionate leaders are really strong-willed, strong leaders. They have the backbone to make decisions. They're not the status quo leaders. The status quo leaders would just follow everything by the book because they're afraid to rock the boat, because they're afraid that if their decision is infamous and they make mistakes, they're afraid that they might not be able to take the consequences of their decisions. But if you are a compassionate leader, you're strong. You're strong, you have conviction. You are courageous because you know that you have the backbone to support your decisions. You know that you have the heart, the mind, and the willingness to make changes, to really listen to the plight of your team members and make changes. Okay, so let's flesh it out. All right, let's flesh it out. It's all about, if you take a look at the formula, there are 4 components: connection, appreciation, responsibility, and excellence. So if there's a conflict that you're trying to address right now, or if there's a company problem that you're trying to address right now, try to look at the 4 components. Is there connection? Is there a connection between me and my team member or my team, right? Do they feel appreciated? Do they feel safe? Do they feel seen? So connection, that's connection. Is there appreciation? And then responsibilities, I will define what responsibility means later on. Excellence will also define what excellence means. So connection is all about making people feel safe and seen. And I'd like to share a tale of 2 leaders. So this was from my previous employer. I was a fresh graduate, and as a fresh graduate, I was very idealistic. I knew that if there's something wrong, something can be done to make changes, right? So that was my mindset back then. And I remember my first job I used to work in HSBC. So my first job was in the call center department. And my senior colleagues told me that, Sha, every 30th of the month, there is this group of payroll clients from our sister company who would power trip us, who would call us up and then power trip us. And true enough, on the 30th of the month, you would see ball pens flying around. You would suddenly hear, because you would see how, you would feel the frustration of my colleagues. And then one day, I received that type of call. What was supposed to be a 2-minute call extended to 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated that I needed a few minutes to let my, to deal with my emotions, to deal with my emotions so that I would not pass my emotions to the next caller. And then I realized, wait a minute, if it would take me a few minutes to compose myself, it means that it could affect the service levels of the team, because it would take me more time to take the next call. So dropped calls would rise higher, and then the service level would drop. So I saw all that, right? And I was very idealistic. So I went to my leader, my boss, and said, boss, I received this call. What was supposed to be a 2-minute call extended to 10 minutes. And I heard this has been happening for years. Can we do something about it? And my boss, while typing on his laptop, said, Sha, we're in the customer service. We need to be patient. So what do you think about that leader? Is he a courageous leader or is he a status quo leader? Status quo, right? Because yeah, if you take a look at what he said, it seems that there's nothing wrong. There's nothing politically wrong about what he said. True enough, we're in the customer service department and we do need to be patient, right? Status quo. Nothing that can be deemed as wrong. So, I went back to my seat and that boss was transferred to another department a month later. So we had a new boss. And at that time of the month, I received the same type of call again. And my teammates have been receiving the same types of calls. So I went to the new boss and said the same thing. And you know what the new boss said? She did something. She told me something and she did something. And because of that, here's the result. So before, our service level for years was at 65 to 70%. When the new boss came in, the service level was at 95 to 98%. And at that point, we were recognized globally, pretty much like AHS, right? So you have operations in different countries. So same with HSBC. We were recognized and they saw, oh, the Philippines is suddenly 95 to 98. We became the model. Like they studied what we were doing. And then team members were demotivated. So as a new member of that organization, you will be on attachment, right? You will shadow a senior team member. And usually the senior team member would take calls, I would listen in, and then she would explain what happened. And I remember, so there was this call, and then I told my teammate, oh, it's okay, you can take the call. I can catch up later. And then she said, no, don't worry about that. Let's keep talking. So I'll take my time to explain to you and let's keep chatting. So demotivated. And for most of the team members, they work because they needed to pay bills. So just giving the minimum so you won't be terminated. But at the same time, you're not giving your best. So the malasakit or care level was very low, very, very low. When the new boss came, just a month later, service level, 95 to 98%, team members were very motivated, and we had 15-minute breaks in the morning and in the afternoon. During your 15-minute breaks, no one could tell you, come on, answer calls, because that is your right. But with this new boss, even if she was not around because she's in a meeting, 15-minute break, and then there are calls waiting, we would rush to our workstations and answer the call. Because we wanted to defend the 95 to 98%. We were working collectively, even if the boss was not around, even if the boss was not looking. The malasakit or care level was very, very high. And that was why I was so excited to go to work, because I was so excited, what will the boss do next? I'm so excited about her next moves. I want to study her. So, here's a little activity within your table mates. What do you think did the boss do, the second boss do, that drove that results? So when I told her, okay, this is the situation, can we do something about it? If you were the boss, what would you do? Okay, so you can share with your table mates, and I'm sure we can share best practices here. And then the person whose birthday is closest to today from your team will be the one to share what your team collectively talked about. Okay, so I'll give you, we'll make this short. I'll give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes to talk about if you were the boss, how would you have responded as a compassionate leader?
Let's talk about it.
Paano niyo minotivate? Kasi it seems that there was an improvement in motivation. Pero how did the boss motivate you? Eh, di ba kasi dati, yung lumang boss. The old boss?
Old?
Old.
What is old?
The guy case, I have to be face left side. I mean, depend on the stuff. So I cannot keep always right side. So that is, I'm always struggling like that. Fluctuate.
Okay. I think because that's make people feel like a reinforceful to do feel they're proud in the job. Okay, if you will
July. Mr. Jisai, how about you? Birthday month. Parang saan? Birthday month.
word.
So there's a winner.
Huh?
Yeah, there's a winner. July.
There we go.
The winner.
Winner.
Yes. Yes.
Remember the care,
I know you are very compassionate.
value.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Hindi naman sila masyadong nakaka-check. Pero they're taking care of it.
Alright. No? Was it?
Basically, I'm not Pinay.
So, by experience.
No. Maybe different when you're
Okay, okay.
But in our case,
Okay, yeah.
Different.
The finance. What about the yesterday finance people? They don't come today.
Or general policy. It's a general. Sabi sa'yo, general.
It's better. Yeah.
Ano sa inyo may team building eh? Conduct one-on-one. So, concern, parang collect yung concerns sa issues and get to know better his team, her team.
Kinonect nga niya yung sarili niya sa team mo na siya. Siyempre may connect.
So ibig sabihin connect. Paano niya ginawa yung connection?
Yung pinag-usap niya.
Nag-correct siya ng concerns at saka get to know better yung team sa yung connection niya.
Communication. Basically communication.
Okay.
Communication kasi kinausap niya.
reporting and communicating.
Just keep on doing your stuff.
Okay, time is up.
It's on the book.
It's in the book.
Imagine, this is such a beautiful opportunity to hear from leaders, right? Leaders from different countries. So there is no one correct answer, but we would like to be open to hearing what you talked about. What would be the best practice that you would do if you were the leader in that situation? Okay? So, the person whose birthday is closest to today will be the one who will share. Don't worry, you don't need to share for 5 minutes. So, could be 30 seconds to 1 minute. All right? Who wants to go first? Yeah! Can we give a hand to Miss Ellen? Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. So I'm very honored to be with this table. I'm granted with the opportunity to be the speaker of the group because my birthday was last May 20.
Oh, belated happy birthday!
Okay, so comparing leader 1 and leader 2. So our group assumed that leader 1, based on your information earlier, that is the status quo, even though members reporting to him the issue about these annoying clients that decline because customer is always right. But this leader 2 try to listen what the experiences of his members and maybe probably take the call of that annoying customers so that he himself can experience what's annoying with this type of customers. Then maybe, if still not, can create a possible solution to that issue experienced by his team. Maybe end point is to talk to this annoying customer, what is the issue, what makes him annoying, so that we can sit down face to face and settle, so that the performance of the team becomes motivated. They motivated me to speak because I might get a book from you.
Thank you, Miss Ellen. Woohoo!
We have the courage.
So I love it. I love it. I'd love to listen to all the leaders. And again, this is our opportunity to listen to all the great minds in this room. Thank you, Miss Ellen. Now from this group. Oh, I think you have a mic there. Okay. Whose birthday is closest to today? All right. Okay, can we give hand to Miss Sampra Song?
In case of the leader of team, leader one, we think it's not the leader, just the boss. Because definitely order and monitor the team to work. But however, in case of the group two, it's like leader because they work together and make the teamwork have the motivation that we can see the result is have the improve. So we love to work at the group two.
Thank you, Sampra Song. It's okay. Thank you. Wow. So the first leader was a boss, not a leader. Thank you. Okay, how about from this group?
So April. So on behalf of this table, this is Hugh from Vietnam. Unfortunate, my birthday is in April, so very close. So in the case of boss number two, we guess the boss number one is kind of a startup code version. It's very old style, right? He just want to comply with what to be. So he didn't want to change anything. Just wants to start, just comply, right? Without any motivation to the team. The second one, I think we should back to the basic with the 2 points. How make people feel valued to the organization and how make people feel to adding the value. So I think if I was the boss number two, I would try to manage the team with empathy, understanding, as well as compassion. I would play the roles of the staff to experience the reality, right? So how my staff, my experience with customers, and I could have a short surveys, what they like, what they don't like. Okay, from that, I try to connect, to promote them, how they connect themselves to the organization and how they can contribute to the success of the company. So that's my point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. You can take this. All right, how about from this group?
Sige po, siguro yung leader number one, so we're thinking that that kind of boss is only asking what's supposed to be the action to be taken without taking into consideration about the details of the situation or the problem. The other boss might check in details what is the issue for that particular customer and a particular team, and then somehow she or he get the opinion of the team or the member to come up for the best possible solution that might proceed during the execution of the activity. So we're thinking like that kind of boss of leader number one and leader number two. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ariel. And now from this group.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So the question is, what has been done by the second boss to improve the current system of that company? So our group consolidated our thoughts, and we think that at first there was the leader or the boss was connect to her members. So how did she do the connection in terms of communication? So maybe he did some she conducted one-on-one surveys and collect concerns and issues of her members. And after that, what her did was a root cause analysis. So what are the triggering points why there are such issues and problems are being experienced by the members? Then after that, doing the root cause analysis, maybe she did some actions such as motivations. Maybe she contacted you to do some to do some motivational speech for the members to be in good shape and to be motivated in reporting to their duties. And after that, maybe she did some reward system and maybe doing the PDCI cycle again. Then check what is the current condition, then how to improve again. That's our thought of our team.
Wow, thank you. Very strategic and systematic. All right.
Yes, good afternoon everyone. So my name is Richard. Yeah, I'm come from the China. So on behalf of this team, also I would like to in my opinion, I think the second boss had already done something. So I think the first he or she already show for the employees know like clear the goal or the value, and also I think they already finished or done with the effective delegation or the also they he or she also already like done with like open communication with the teams, empower or training, coaching, and development to the teams, and also like the collaborative decision making. I think is second boss already finished this, and I think only 1 month, but the result already changed. So I think he already made some deliverable to the teams. Yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing your insights. So actually, all your insights are really sound, and personally, I got very excited just listening to your insights. Okay, are you curious to know what the boss did? The second boss did that brought the actual results? So actually, what she did was very simple. She stopped what she was doing because she was typing, right? She was busy. She stopped what she was doing, looked at me in the eye, and said, "Sha, give me the time of call. I will review the call." And then she stood up from where she was seated and hollered to the team and said, "Team, has anyone else received this type of calls? Give me the time of call. I will review the call. I will listen to the calls." So when I heard that, I felt like, wow, this is different. This is different. And even my team, wow, this is the first time someone actually wanted to listen to my call. And imagine those calls for 10 minutes, right? And she had to listen to a lot of calls. So why did I say that it takes a compassionate leader to be courageous? Because if you're a leader, you are being pulled in all directions, right? You have so many concerns during the day. And it's understandable what the first leader did. Like, you're so busy and then, come on, Sha, that's your job. Get your job done, right? But the difference is that the problem was that problem has been recurring for years. So he could still do something about it. So it takes courage for this leader to be compassionate, because it meant that with the workload that she had that day, it meant that she might need to spend overtime that day to finish all the workload. It also meant that now that she's part of that, like she's really in that problem, like she zoomed in that problem, now she had to find a solution. So that's what she did. And then the next month, those annoying calls did not happen anymore. So what else happened behind the scenes? I heard, because she did not share this with us. We just heard. I just heard that she talked to a certain department in our company, I think the legal department or the PR department, and she asked if there's a way that she can talk to the leaders of the other company. And if there's a way that she can talk to these leaders and share with these leaders what their employees have been doing for years. So it was the leaders of the other company who talked to their employees. It's not my leader who talked to their employees. Leader to leader talked, and then leader to team members. So after that, no more annoying calls. And because we saw that the leader was really listening, like, oh, there is a change. We were status quo for years, right? My teammates were status quo for years because I just came in. And suddenly there's this leader who dared challenged the status quo, who was not just complying, but who was actually willing to make changes. And she did make changes. Unfortunately, after a few years, she transferred to another bank because there was a new boss, her higher boss, who brought a different kind of culture, the kind of culture that we talked about, where there is shouting, bullying. Because the culture in that company before was, if you did something wrong, the boss would tell you, "Siya, pull a chair." That's when you know that you did something wrong. But at least it's just you and the boss who will talk about the wrong that you did. Right? But the new boss who came in would shout at anyone in front of everyone, humiliate. Doesn't matter who will be humiliated, who will be hurt. And she did not want that kind of culture, and then she got pirated by another bank. So that was very unfortunate. But see what the culture can do, wherein good people can leave the company because of bad leaders, because of bad managers. At the same time, people can stay in the company even if they don't like their jobs because of the people as well, because of their leaders. I stayed in that company for 9 years, even if I knew on year one that I won't, that's not the type of job that I want. Of course, I also moved to other jobs, other positions. The reason why I stayed in the company was, one, because of the people. And number two, I think the very strong reason was, I was a junior employee when I came in. And our SVP, the department head, would talk to every junior employee and say, so she told me, "Sha, remember we trained you for 3 months, right? So don't resign, okay? Don't resign after 9 months, Sha." So she was very motherly, and it was informal. There was human connection. So whenever I thought of resigning, I would think of our SVP and how she talked to me like we're close, like I matter. She called me by my nickname. In the Philippines, we call each other by our nicknames. Don't call anyone in the Philippines by their full name. They will get annoyed. I'm not sure in the other countries as well. Because in the Philippines, if someone calls you using your full name, that will be equated to their moms calling them by their full names when their moms were angry at them when they were children. So if you want to have good relationship connections with Filipinos, call them by their nicknames. How about in other countries? Is that the norm as well? Same? Okay. Okay, so there. So we'll have a break in a little while, but let me just finish this particular session. Okay, let's have another case study. Is anyone familiar with NUMI or General Motors Toyota? Toyota, right? General Motors. So Toyota, General Motors. So let's take a look at the culture of these two companies, because these are from different countries as well. So Toyota is from Japan. Japanese friends in the house? Okay, Japanese. All right. So NUMI. So let's take a look at the culture between General Motors and Toyota. So actually, General Motors, they have a plant at Fremont, okay, and then they combined with Toyota. So Toyota from Japan, and the two had very different cultures, okay. So in General Motors, here's their culture. Employees feel invisible and unheard. Only the boss has the voice, authoritative leadership. Nobody stopped the production line because it would cost the company $15,000 per minute of stoppage. So even if you're the engineer, frontline engineer, you see that there is something wrong, you don't stop the production. $15,000, and at the same time, you're not being heard, right? If you saw a problem, you put a mark on it, and the vehicle would be disassembled and rebuilt later. So imagine how much that would cost. You finish the production and then you build later on. So that's the culture in GM, in Fremont. In Toyota, the culture was everyone's voice matters, even the frontline workers. Everyone. If you saw a problem, you stop the assembly line and the production will be stopped. So everyone's voice mattered. So what happened was they formed a new company. It's called Numi, wherein, okay, so they formed Numi. So it's a combination of GM in Fremont and then Toyota, right? But most of the employees were from GM. So they're so used to the culture wherein they didn't share their voices because they felt unheard. But Toyota leaders, Japan leaders would say, come on, every voice matters here. Even if you're a frontliner, every voice matters. So slowly they adopted that culture, and with just 2 years, within just 2 years, here's the results. Productivity in Fremont was higher than any other GM facility. In just 2 years. This is the effect of being a human leader, a leader that has very strong human connection, a compassionate leader. 2 times more productive than the old GM Fremont operation, absenteeism dropped from 25% to 3% in just 2 years. Employees felt heard, and that contributed to excellence. So see, so that is the effect of making people feel safe and seen. So that's only the first part of the equation. It's all about connection. And that's already the results that we're seeing, right? So 1 out of 4 of the components, we already discussed connection. Okay, so here's our little activity before we have a break. And you don't need to discuss with your team members, but maybe just think about this. How would you create valuable connections among your team members? And while you're thinking, let me just share a few examples. So what is that one thing that you can do differently that can create massive effect in terms of how your team members can connect with each other? I remember when I still had an office, so as an entrepreneur, so I had team members, I employed people, and I had a little office. So when you come in the office, you would see my team members. There were 3 of them. And then I had a private little room. So that's where I worked. So when I would come to the office, I'm an introvert. My team members, the 3 of them were introverts as well. So when I come into the office, no one's talking. Everyone's quiet, and I could feel like, are they okay? Are they smiling? If I smile at them, no one's smiling back at me. Or if I greet them, no one's greeting me back. Because it's not because they're snobs, it's because they're shy. Right? So I said, something has to be done in our organization. So I had a meeting with my team and said, can we develop something like, when you come in, what would be your suggestion? How would you want the environment to be like? So we had a little meeting. So what we came up with as a group, okay, is that the moment you open the door, the first thing you will do is to smile. Even if you're the only one, you're the first person to enter the office, you will smile. If there are people that you will see inside, you will smile at them and say good morning with a smile. If you are already inside the office and someone would come in, you would look at the direction of someone who would come in and smile at that person as well. And if the person says good morning, you say good morning as well. So we did that. And even if there are deliveries, because delivery as well, you would just look like that, right? Oh, it's not my delivery. So I also told them, even if deliveries, so we talked about this as a group, they would smile at that person who's opening the door, who's knocking, and ask, how can I help you? So it's very little, it's a small thing, but it builds connection, right? I'm not sure if this is also true in other countries. In the Philippines, if you come in and it's not the culture of the company to greet each other, and then you come in the morning and say, good morning! People would look at you like, too loud. The personality is too loud. We don't like that. Pabibo. How about in other countries? Is that okay? Is that acceptable? Like if the company is so quiet and then you suddenly say, good morning! Danger. Danger, right? So maybe as you we'll take a break and they're serving snacks. As you're having snacks, maybe you talk like you talk like your friends, right? Not really work related, and then talk. What could be implemented in your company as a leader? What could you implement? Because you have the authority already to make decisions. What could you implement? Like you can have a talk with your team, and then what would be that one or two simple things that you can do differently that will make massive impact in terms of how your team members are connecting. Okay, so enjoy your snacks, and then we'll resume at 3:30. Okay, and when we resume at 3:30, we would like to hear from you. So what is that one or two things that you would implement to build connections, meaningful connections? Because not all connections are constructive. Some connections are destructive. Okay, not all connections are constructive. Some are destructive. For example, if your team member comes up to you with an idea and you say something like, "And so," and your team member will feel like, and then you said, "But," you use those words, "but," and "so," or "should," then those will kill those ideas. So there is a way to connect that can actually build good relationships, that can actually be productive. Again, not all connections are good. Some people will avoid connecting with you, because for some reason, I'm not saying you, okay, him. Some people will avoid connecting with this particular person because every time they connect with this person, they feel like a little bit of joy was taken away from them. A little bit of life was taken away from them. They get a little bit drained. So how can you build connections that actually energize other people? Like they always want to see you and talk to you and bump into you, because when they see you, they feel like, oh, I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I'm seen. I feel like I'm important. How can you build that connection? It could be as simple as calling your team member by name, right? Or saying thank you as often as you can. So enjoy your snacks, and we'll resume at 3:30. And we'd like to hear from the great minds in this room. What would be that one or two things? So the person who will share will be the person with the shortest hair. Later. Okay. Enjoy. Shortest hair. Okay. Which table do we start? That table at the back first. The table at the back.
Hi.
Thank you. And there.
Hi. Hi, so good afternoon, everyone. So, from our team, so one way to build connection among our members is first, maybe we can start toolbox meeting at the start of the day, so that we can ask our team what are their concerns, and somehow we can also give some advice to them. And also being approachable, and most of the time giving some smile, and and so by smiling on our teams, making ourselves approachable, maybe we can connect to our team.
Yes, I agree. Smiling can work wonders. Thank you. And now let's go to the next table. Maybe the table over there. Thank you, Ted.
Good afternoon. So for me, I think number one is still the connection, and parang getting to know your member. And for me, I'm always keep them smiling by making them small bully. So we are making fun in our department by giving them some jokes. And, But in terms of performing the duties, of course, it should be always. That's all.
Thank you, Miss Beth. How about from this group?
So you come from China, right?
Yeah.
A neighbor of China.
Yeah.
yeah, in order to create a valuable connection among the team member, I think about it like the active thinking, also active listening to the all member and to recognize and appreciation their effort. And another thing, yeah, like I have some more team building activity to everybody can like share it also.
Say again?
Team building.
Team building more.
Team building activity.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
what have you team building activity?
There is a follow-up
Like,
question.
you can have some
Only drink, right?
something like that.
Thank you, sir. All right, and then from this group,
I am Vietnam. Okay. So one is simple. So yes, greeting with smiling every day, every evening. And when we started that, is so really, have more communication generated. Before that, it's very quiet, but now, yes, we do. And for me, sometimes it's so like evening, drinking together. Yeah, with Richard. Yes, I always go there together. So very frank talking and enjoy. And the third is, I don't want to say no, negative. So that means I listen and say yes. And after that, okay. What shall we do? Something.
thank
you very much. How about from this group?
From my team, yeah, the two key points to create valuable connection among the team. Number one, happy workplace by preparing the facilities such as fitness, sport, and gym. And second, set activities such as lunch from the week. Free food for employee.
free food. Oh, I love that. I heard that, free food. Sounds good. Thank you. How about from this group? Thank you. We can borrow there's a mic.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm not sure if I have the shortest here in our group, but I was volunteered. Okay, I will be speaking for the group, not for myself, but okay. So, one is to give value or appreciation to the suggestion of our members. And then we also need to show them that we include or consider their ideas or suggestions in our decision making. Another one is to show sincerity among our team members, so that can build connection among our group. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sir Emerson. So we heard a lot of ideas on how we can create more connected workplaces, right? Which one's your favorite? I think the free food is my favorite for now. As long as I'm not the one paying. Thank you. Okay, so now let's talk about the next component of our Lead with Care model. So we talked about connection, right? So the next is, okay, I think, thank you so much to the team for helping me. Okay, so the next is about appreciation. Okay, how do we make our team members feel appreciated? How do we make our team members feel that that we really see them? We see them for the value that they can deliver. We see them for who they really are. How do we appreciate people? You cannot just go to anyone and just tell him or her random things, right? For example, you cannot go to the way you would appreciate a colleague or a team member would be different from the way you would appreciate your wife or husband. The way you would appreciate a team member would be different from the way you would appreciate your brother or sister, right? So what is the appropriate way of appreciating people in the workplace? So there, appreciation is all about feeling valued. And let me share with you a short story. I love to sing ever since I was young. Who among you here loves to sing as well? Anyone? I know Filipinos love to sing. You don't need to nudge them to sing at videocast. If they have the mic, they will sing. If they have the mic, they will sing. So I love to sing ever since I was young. And I felt like it was my hidden talent. But everyone around me also thought I needed to keep it hidden. Because apparently, if there were four singing voices, bass, tenor, alto, and soprano, mine was sintonado. It means I couldn't carry a tune. And I remember I was in the car with my papa, and my favorite song was playing. And so I was singing out loud, and I was very happy. And my papa looked at me and upped the volume. Then he looked at me again and maxed the volume. And then he was laughing. That was his way of telling me, Sha, stop singing. My brother loves to play the guitar, and he's also a good singer. And I told him, while he was playing the guitar, I told him, oh, let's jam. And then he said, okay, I will let you know when to enter. Okay, when to come in and sing. Chorus. I tried to come in and sing, and then he said, no, not yet, Sha, not yet. He finished the song. And he didn't tell me to enter. He didn't tell me to sing. So that was his way of telling me, Sha, stop singing. And in Toastmasters, every time I would deliver a speech, I would always inject a line or two from a song. And my family members and friends would always tell me, Sha, can you please do us a favor? Can you please stop singing? And so I forgot my dream to become a singer. One day, I met with a voice coach in a busy coffee shop. I met up with him because I wanted him to help me with my speaking voice, to make it louder. And Jerome, the voice coach, who was sitting in front of me, said, Sha, sing. Now, that was the first time someone asked me to sing. Someone has ever asked me to sing. So what did I do? I stood up and I sang. And then I sat down again. And then Jerome said, Sha, you have a beautiful voice. You are meant to sing. And I almost fell off my chair. What voice did he listen to? Why was everyone telling me to stop singing? And so I asked Jerome, what's my vocal range? And then he said, you can sing any Disney song in its original key. You can sing any of the songs of Lea Salonga and Regine Velasquez in its original key. By the way, they are our local singers. And so I liked what I was hearing. So I decided to hire him as my coach. And then later on, I slowly heard the notes. Now I know. I can barely see the Sha that was sintonado, that was not a singer. I don't see that anymore. Like, really? Was I like that before? I don't see that anymore. Because I was listening to Jerome, who was a great appreciator. You appreciate what is there, right? You magnify what is there. Because I was so exposed to his appreciation, I started to hear notes, and I started to slowly sing the right way. And with all humility, fast forward to today, I'm now a recording artist. Correction.
I thought you were gonna sing.
Yes, I will. Correction. International recording artist. And to date, if you want to clap, you may clap. Thank you. If you want to make it louder, thank you so much. So today, I'm now an international recording artist. And to date, I've performed in, directed, and produced 31 music videos so far. Shot in the Philippines, France, Switzerland, and other countries, Amsterdam, and other countries. So why am I sharing this? It is because that is the power of appreciation. From someone who was not a singer, like everyone was telling me, Sha, don't sing. And then it only took one person to bring out the world-class performer in me. So today, I know maybe you're saying, oh, Sha, you're bluffing. Prove it that you're a world-class performer, right? Are you also asking that? Okay. So I'm going to show you a snippet from my music videos. It's a 2-minute snippet. So this is from my video medley. Because, it's quite hard to choose which songs I will show you because I have 31 music videos. And so, it's so hard to choose. So I created a medley, a 2-minute medley of 3 or 5 of my music videos, and I'd like to show them with you. And also, this is our way of showing the Philippines to you because most of these were shot in Boracay, one of the tourist spots in the Philippines. Okay, so enjoy this music video.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore.
There was a storm when we shot that.
Let it go. Turn away and slam that door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. And the rhythms and music's got me going. Nothing that can stop our move. Yeah, let's make our blessing. Cause we don't need permission.
Alright. Thank you for attending my concert. The reason why I dance why I do music videos is because I want to connect with myself. As leaders, it's so important to learn how to connect with ourselves. Have you ever experienced programs wherein you would really want people to tap you to perform at your Christmas parties, but no one is nudging you, come on, perform. And you really want someone to ask you to perform. So there's that inner child in you that wants to perform, right? So for some, it's the other way around. But that's what I felt. I felt like I was caged. I felt I was a good girl who needed to fit into the mold of the people around me. So my steps were so calculated. But when I learned how to love myself, so that's the title of the book that I gave a while ago. When I learned how to love myself, I learned how to create a safe space within myself to feel all my emotions without judging these emotions. And because I've created that safe space in myself, I have learned to create a safe space as well amongst my team members and the people I work with to feel all their emotions as well without judgment. If we know how to connect with ourselves in a deep way, we would know how to connect with other people as well, especially with the team that we lead. So going back to the tale between two coaches, Jerome the Motivator and Denver the Downer. With Jerome the Motivator, I felt like, bring it on. What song do you want me to sing? I can sing any song. And then because Jerome got busy, I hired a really, really competent coach. He was one of the best coaches in the Philippines when it comes to singing. He's very famous as well. Especially his YouTube videos are very famous. So I hired him. I already prepaid 10 sessions. And I remember first session, I was so excited. I said, Coach! And then he would say, sing. Okay, so I'll sing. And then he would always point out the things that I needed to correct when it comes to my singing. Second session, the same thing. He would always point out the things I needed to correct. Third session, same. I know he's such a competent leader, competent coach, but as each session passes by, I feel less and less motivated to sing. I feel like my voice was shrinking. I felt like singing was a task, was a job. Instead of singing, it was a way for me to unleash my inner child and have fun and have joy. It became so mechanical. And I remember on the 5th session, 30 minutes into the session, so the session was 1 hour, 30 minutes. 30 minutes into the session, I had no voice anymore. Literally, my voice was so intimidated, I couldn't sing. I felt like I had no right to sing anymore because I wasn't doing anything right. And because of that, in the middle of the session, I told my coach, Coach, sorry, something came up. I need to go. What came up? I needed to curl up and motivate myself. Like, I didn't want to sing anymore. And you saw how good a singer I was, right? So I didn't want to sing anymore. So I curled up in my bed that morning and I just needed to soothe myself because I didn't want to sing anymore. I felt like no matter how good a coach Denver was, he silenced me. He silenced the voice within me. he did not mean to silence me. But because of his approach, wherein he did not know how to motivate, he did not know how to appreciate, he silenced the singer. Are you Jerome the motivator, or are you the Denver, the downer? There is no shortage in terms of the skills, how skilled, how highly skilled the team members are. But if they're not motivated from within, if they are silenced, then they will just operate in fear, give the bare minimum so they will not be terminated. But they will just give the bare minimum. And as leaders, we would feel the burden of trying to motivate them and push them so they can produce, right? And as leaders, there are so many things that are in our mind, on our plate. And then another would be to motivate the team members. So how do we not have to do that heavy lifting? So one way to do that is through appreciation. So I'll share a very simple way to do appreciation. So maybe when we have team meetings with our leaders, or maybe roundtables, or CEO town hall, or however you call it, maybe you can. One way to do it is through a gratitude circle, wherein each one of you would share what he or she is grateful for, personally and professionally. Why personally as well? So they would feel that you're not just concerned about their productivity, but you're also concerned about them as people. And it will give you a glimpse into what's happening outside work, right? So also, when you talk about what you're grateful for, it elevates the energy in the room. So let's have a quick case study. Why do team members get demotivated? Why do team members get demotivated? Like, why do we get demotivated? Not just team members, but we also get demotivated. Most of the time, it's because something was said that dampened your spirit. This is true among men. This is also true among women. Maybe something was said to you that made you feel less than, whether you're a male or a female. And I remember there was this time wherein I was writing a book, and I knew I could finish writing a book in 2 weeks. Like, I gave myself 2 weeks to write that book, because I've already done it. I wrote a book in 1 week, so I know 2 weeks is a long time for me to write a book. So week 1, I was able to write 70% of the book. And I know Monday to maybe Tuesday, I'm done with the book. And then Wednesday to Friday, just review the contents of the book. But Monday, I was trying to write, and no words came out. Like, I couldn't write. Tuesday, I tried to write it. I couldn't write. And I was talking to myself and asking myself, what's the problem, Sha? What's the matter? And then I realized that something happened on a Sunday that dampened my spirit. Something was said to me that made me feel so demotivated when it comes to writing. I knew that I had the skill, but because I was demotivated, my spirit was down. I couldn't get myself to work. I couldn't get myself to write. And I had to talk to myself, because I'm a motivational speaker as well. So I gave a talk to myself, a motivational talk to myself, and I was able to lift my spirit up. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, done with the book. I was able to finish writing the book. But a lot of times, this happens to us. Something was said, and within a few days, we felt demotivated, and this went on for days. But because we're so busy with our work, with our family, with a lot of stuff, sometimes we don't have time to really process what happened, to really think, okay, where did this dampening of my spirit come from? We don't have time to process that. So we're demotivated for days, and then days would go for weeks. Weeks would turn into months, and then months would turn into years. And this is the reason why there are a lot of employees right now who would go to the office, give the bare minimum, just because they need money to pay the bills. Just because there's no other better option at the moment. So they would go to the office like zombies. Monday, you would cry because it's Monday again. And then Wednesday, okay, yes, midweek. And then Friday, yes, Friday. And then Saturday, you're so happy. And then Sunday afternoon, Monday again, Monday. And then Monday, so it's a cycle. That's why, according to studies, a lot of heart attacks happen on Mondays and Tuesdays because the pressure is very high, and that's an indication that you're stressed at work.
Let's move on Wednesday.
Demotivation is very common, and when team members are demotivated, they are disengaged. And according to Gallup, according to the findings of Gallup, only 33% of employees are motivated. Only 33% are engaged. It means 67% are disengaged. So if there are 100 of us in the room right now, 67 are not really listening. 67. But I know this is not the case because I can see every one of you. And I know everyone is engaged, right? So imagine in your workplace, if you are having a meeting with 10 people, it means that 7 of them are not really listening to you. Only 3 are actively listening. So that's what the survey says. So how do we raise the engagement level of our team? First is, we want to know first what's their motivational level, right? So what do you want to know what the motivational level of your team is? I created an assessment where in 60 to 90 seconds, you'll be able to answer questions. And if you answer them truthfully, it will give you a glimpse on where is the gap, right? Okay, my team is motivated like 70, 80%, but where's that gap? What is that 20% that is missing? What is that 10% that is missing? Okay, so here's the test. You can take this test so you can see. Okay, you can see how motivated or demotivated your team members are. So depending on the percentage that you will get, it will show you that percent that is lacking. What is the gap? Where is the gap? So it's about connection, commitment, and culture in your company. And don't worry, you don't need to share it with the entire group. It's for you. It's really a gift. Topic, which is all about human connection, leading across cultures and generations. So we're still in this component called appreciation. So we're done with connection. Now we're in this component called appreciation. And today we'll have a practice on how we can actually appreciate the person next to us. So can you just tap to the person at your right? And then just tap that person. The person at your right, all right? So the person that you tapped, so right hand, raise your right hand. So person at your right, okay, tap that person. So remember the person that you tapped, okay? That is the person that you will appreciate. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to write a letter. Yes, we are going to write a letter. So here's you can see this on your tables. So just get one and write an appreciation letter to the person that you tapped. So write the name of...
It to be letter of appreciation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a long novel. It could be one thing you appreciate about that person. It has to be specific, okay? It's not something like, thank you for being part of AHS Lens. That is so generic. So something that would make that person feel really seen. Like, you saw me. You saw this and you appreciated this in me. Okay, so write the name of the person you want to appreciate and then write your name at the bottom. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute to write so that you will share whatever is in your mind right now. You don't need to overthink. All right, so we'll give you 1 minute.
It could be the
Ano,
person's
sir, you will write
characteristics,
appreciation to
leadership qualities.
Tajimasan.
It could be
Dearest Madam,
Ever dearest?
because your age.
Yeah, that's what I give.
This is, you know, the one of the
assignment.
for you have to be give me the some appreciate comment.
Appreciation. That's
Yes.
One
Just one more. Dear. Oh dear. Not to dear. Oh dear. でこれでこうで
Happy retirement.
and read what was written for you.
Okay, so you just need to give the paper and then read. Okay, read. Alright, just give and then read. Read and then feel your emotions. Savor the positive feelings. Savor the positive emotions.
Yeah, I cannot stop crying.
Me too.
So much lighting. My feeling in my heart.
Oh. Sorry, I was nosy.
Yeah. Okay.
I was reading it. Oh, it's on his phone now. So keep that note and remember this day that you were appreciated by the person you're working with, and you also showed appreciation to another person. How does that feel? How does it feel to be appreciated? Right? And for someone to take the time to write you a little note of appreciation, that's so sweet. That is so sweet. So imagine if your team member will receive a note from you. Okay, so let's continue. So there. So how do you make your team members feel appreciated? Just, just float this question in your mind and ask yourself, how can I make my team members feel appreciated? So remember, there are different love languages, right? So some would want words, some would want touch. Okay, in the workplace, that's very crucial. So that means touch could mean like this, right? High five. So some team members like that. They like the high five. They like the of course, you don't touch inappropriately, right? And then time. Time means when someone is talking to you, you really look them in the eye. So that's time. And then some would want gifts. So it doesn't have to be expensive gifts. It could be as simple as a ball pen for your team members. Or a cell phone. Someone said cell phone in the ear. And then the other would be service. Service. The other thing would be service. For example, one of your team members is struggling, and then you saw that one of your team members is really good at the thing that the other team member is struggling with. You telling the other team member, would you like to help this person? So that is service, and that person can feel loved and appreciated through that. So it takes a lot of listening skills, listening to the verbal and non-verbal cues, to listen to the words that are not being spoken. And again, this also is applicable not just in the workplace, but in relationships as well. Men and women are so different. They are so different. And when we have problems in our personal lives, we tend to bring them to the workplace. So it's very important also to really take good care of the relationships around us, because they could really affect our work productivity. Okay, so now let's go to the third component of our model. R is responsibility. In the simple way of defining responsibility for me is it's all about there's a high level of trust and there is no blaming. There is that no blaming culture. So what usually happens in the workplace when someone makes a mistake? When someone made a mistake, what usually happens? What needs to happen? So a lot of times, what needs to happen is that there has to be someone that you need to point your fingers to, right? There has to be someone who's accountable so that that person will feel the gravity of the mistake that he or she did. And so the others will be extra careful next time. So there is blaming. There is pointing fingers to someone. Let's take a look at this example. Facebook, year 2008, summer intern called Ben Maurer. His job description would be to make sure that Facebook will not crash. Okay? And according to the CEO of Facebook at that time, Sheryl Sandberg, in Silicon Valley, if there's a crash, that is it's like a huge mistake already. It's like a no-no, right? Ben Maurer, a summer intern, triggered a crash in 2008. What did Facebook do? Okay, here's very interesting with the way Facebook handled it. They did not reprimand Ben Maurer. They did not shoo him away from the company. What they did was they talked about the mistake and they learned why did the mistake happen? How can we prevent it in the future? In other words, they saw that as a case study and they studied what happened so it won't be repeated in the future. They did not reprimand Ben Maurer, right? Because according to the CEO of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, it is very important for organizations to be resilient and it's very important for them to learn from their mistakes. So what happens if there is a no blaming culture in the company? It means there is a high level of trust. You are trusting that your team members are doing their best. If there is a no blaming culture, let's say for example, okay, can I use you as an example, Lynn? Okay, so let's say Lynn made a huge mistake that can cost the company a huge amount of money, possible reputational damage. If there is a no blaming culture in the company, and let's say Sir Jay said, let's have a meeting about, let's say what happened, about what Lynn did, let's say Project A. Project A was where Lynn did a huge mistake. And then Jay said, okay, let's have a meeting. Let's talk about Project A. Everyone on deck. Everyone on board for this meeting. How would you feel, Lynn, if there is a no blaming culture in the company? No blaming.
So, initially, di ba, as human, when you commit a mistake, ang initial reaction is to quit.
Yes.
But if you feel na the company is really valuing you and they wanted to work out and improve and not blaming you, definitely you will value more and you will stay longer. Probably you will retire on that company.
Thank you, Lynn. Yes, that's true, right? So let's take a picture. Let's paint a picture. If there is a blaming, like the initial scenario wherein you need to put a finger on someone and then you need to blame someone so that others will not follow suit, right? So if Sir Jay would say, let's have a meeting, let's talk about Project A, and there is blaming, Lynn already knows that they will talk about the mistake that she did, right? So what would be the tendency is to be defensive. When Sir Jay would ask her what happened, he would try to sugarcoat what she did because she would need to save herself. Right? So what would happen if there is blaming? You would try to minimize the wrong that you did. And then if there's a blaming culture in the company, the energy will be spent first on blaming someone, on pointing finger on someone, which means you're giving away your power because you're focusing on the event that already happened. You're not yet in the solution seeking phase. If there is a no blaming culture in the company, and let's say Sir Jay said, okay, let's have a meeting, let's talk about Project A. And then everyone is in the meeting, and then he asked, Lynn, what happened? If there is a no blaming culture, normally what Lynn would do would be to to share everything wrong that she did. Like, bring it all out in the open. Because you are now in that stage wherein everyone who's in the meeting is there to help find a solution. Because you're all in this together. You're all connected. So that's the difference between no blaming and blaming. Blaming and no blaming. So let me share a very specific example with my team. So I had a training with another global company a couple, I think 2 or 3 days ago. And I asked my team, please send me the video link for this particular video that I'm looking for. I'll use it for my training. They sent me a link, and because there's a high level of trust in my team, I didn't check the link anymore. Like, I just gave it to the organizer, okay, play this video. When they played the video, it's the wrong video. And so during the break, I told my team, what happened? What happened? And then they said, Ms. Sha, I'm sorry, because when I Googled, this was the first thing that appeared on YouTube. And then I asked them the next thing. What can we do? What can we do to prevent this kind of error again in the future? And then my team member suggested, may I suggest that we create a page wherein all your relevant videos will be there. And I said, great idea. Please draft the page so I can send to my website designer, to our website designer. Done. The meeting was done. It was just via Viber. It was not even a meeting yet. The problem was solved very fast. There was no blaming. There was no emotional there were no emotional charges where they needed to appease me. I needed to appease them. The air was cleared right away because we have a very strong culture in our company. There is no blaming. If someone made a mistake and I call for a meeting and talk about that mistake, no matter how serious I am, they know that we will not point finger on anyone, but that will be the time for all of us to collectively look for a solution, and the person who committed the mistake will need to be all out in sharing what she did wrong so we can find solutions better. So that's responsibility. For the team member who is assigned to that work, there's that very strong sense of ownership. Like, this is my department. This is what I'm doing. This is my task. For example, in the company, there's someone who is making coffee for everyone. That is his department. He's the leader. He's the boss of that department. I have a little brother, 10-year-old brother, Kyle. And you know these kids, digital kids, right? They don't really like doing household chores. They just like playing on their phones. And I told Kyle, you are the head of the mesa department, table department. It means you are in charge in making sure that it is clean before and after meals. And so, after meal, Kyle would go play with his phone, and I said, who is the head of the mesa department? It's not clean. And then Kyle would raise his hand and he would go. And even if, he would have preferred to play on his phone, he would clean because he's responsible. That is his department. He owns that. Right? So there is that very strong sense of ownership. So please flow this in maybe one of your meetings, or maybe during brainstorming. How can you build a culture wherein there's a very strong sense of responsibility in your team members? There was another time wherein one of my team members committed a really huge mistake that made the client want to refund what she paid us, and she was really mad in her emails. So I called for a team meeting and I asked them, what happened? And so my team member was saying, Ms. Cha, I'm really sorry, I sent the wrong Zoom link. So that's what she did. She sent the wrong Zoom link, and so the client was not able to join the coaching session, and she allotted time for that. So it's really wrong, our mistake. And when the client is mad at you, like the client was mad at me because I was the face of the company, I cannot tell them it was my team who made the mistake. I had to own it. I had to have the sense of ownership because I'm the face of the company. So my team member was telling me what she did wrong. Another team member was suggesting a solution and said, I can volunteer to call the client, say sorry, and appease the client. And the team member who made the mistake said, can I do that? Because I really feel bad that I made the mistake. Can I do that so I can have an opportunity to redeem myself and to make up for the mistake I did? And I said, sure, do it. And so that's what happened. The meeting was done in 10 minutes and the problem was solved. So the meeting was very easy because there is a very high level of, there is a very high sense of safety, psychological safety, and everyone's voice matters in my team. Even when I give talks, I would ask them to evaluate my talks. What did I do well? What did I not do well? So I have to be open as well to hearing their constructive criticisms or evaluations. And as leaders, I know that is very hard. It's very hard for me to do that, but it's the way to grow. Okay, so there a very high sense of responsibility. Now we're down to the last component of our model, which is excellence. Excellence is all about clarity. Clarity in communications, clarity in expectations, clarity in delivery. A lot of times, a lot of our struggles and stresses come from unmet expectations. Like, for example, you already communicated with your team that everyone should be on time, right? And this team member is always late. But it has to be clear what does on time mean? Because, sometimes 9 a.m. is not, if 9 a.m. is the time that is on time, does that mean 9 a.m. you're at the foot of the building, entering the building, or 9 a.m. your laptop is on, you're in your workstation, your laptop is on and ready to work. So it has to be very clear. What are the expectations? And did the team members agree with the expectations? And the best part is when you ask leading questions. As leaders, you ask leading questions, and the commitments would come from the team members. You already know what you want them to do, but instead of telling them, do this, ask them leading questions, and then the commitment will come from them. There is an art of doing that. Let me give you a few examples of clarity and excellence. So, clarity, excellence, does it mean being on time or does it also mean safety? NASA in 1986, the Challenger space shuttle broke apart after 73 seconds, killing 5 astronauts and 2 payload specialists. Why did that happen? It's because the engineers who were contractors of NASA were already telling their superiors, delay the launch, because this is very destructive. But the superiors were not listening because if they delayed the launch, NASA may not renew their contract. And NASA officers, their leaders were telling the superiors, delay the launch. But NASA officers, superiors were not listening because they needed to please President Ronald Reagan, who was expecting them to release to launch at a particular time. And so, 73 seconds into the flight, the Challenger space shuttle broke, and it killed 5 astronauts. And the engineers from the NASA contractors, one of those engineers were interviewed years later, and up to years later, he was still so traumatized by it because he already knew what was happening, but no one was listening to him. So what does excellence mean? Does it mean just being on time? What else does it mean? Does it mean safety? Does it mean listening to everyone in the team? Connection can have a gruesome effect, or lack of connection can have a gruesome effect in the company, in the reputation of the company, productivity, in terms of safety of the employees working there, etc. So this is such an important subject. So case study, let me just give you a brief tour on how I do my speaking engagements. So my time is 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. I was here at 10:30 a.m. On time for me doesn't mean I arrive at 1 p.m. If I arrive at 1 p.m., that's so late for me. So my goal, whenever I have speaking engagements, is to arrive 2 hours before. So 1 p.m. is my time, right? My hair and makeup artist arrived at 7 a.m. We're done at 8:30 a.m. I was ready to go by 9 a.m. The car, thank you so much, has Lens, arrived at 10 a.m. or 9:46 a.m. So this is my definition of on time. Like there's the pre-production of the talk and then testing the concepts before I share with you. It's not just, okay, I created this talk and then I share it with you. No, because I have so much respect for you. A lot of you traveled from different countries. So I cannot just share a concept that I just studied somewhere, right? So these concepts were something that I've tried and tested for years, not just for this company, but for other companies and in my own company as well. So it's not just studying and then teaching, but there has to be years of testing the concept first. And then there's the actual talk, and then there's the post-production. So I have my team with me here. And I have a team as well who worked with me behind the scenes, helping me prepare the slides, videos, etc. So everything was produced in a way that is excellent from my perspective. So it has to be very clear. Next, so I have a program at the Asian Institute of Management, and most of the attendees are CEOs or C-suite levels. And in the first day of our meeting, we have an agreement. We created an agreement as regards how they would like the class to go. And the agreement did the things that they would want did not come from me. It came from them. So meaning, what time do we start? What time do we end? During Zoom sessions, do they want camera on, camera off? So everything, all the expectations were set. So everyone is on the same page. So, how do you define excellence in your team? What does excellence mean? And how do you define excellence? And excellence may mean different for each member for each of your units because you are doing different functions. But in your own unit, how can you define what excellence mean? What excellence means? Right? So this is something that you can run with your team. And as a leader, how do you not dictate what they need to do, but how do you make it appear that it came from them? But actually, you already know. You already know these are the deliverables because it's an art. It's an art. This is the way to make people do what you want them to do, not just because you told them, but because they wanted to. It's an art. It's an art. How do you communicate with them? How do you ask leading questions? Wherein the answers would come from them, but you already know that those are the answers that they will share. Of course, sometimes it may vary, but most of the time, that's already the answer that you want because those are your deliverables. Okay, so let's have a case study, and this will be our one of the two last activities for today. CEO of Campbell Soup, Douglas Conant. He was the former CEO. He was hired in 2001. Okay? So this was the condition in 2001. Campbell was failing on virtually all fronts. Employees were disheartened. Okay, 1 of 3 employees were disengaged. So 33% were disengaged. They lost half of their market value in just 1 year. Camden, New Jersey, which is the home to their world headquarters, was firmly established as one of the poorest and most dangerous cities in the United States. So this is the problem. So imagine that you are the CEO and these are the problems that you are facing. How would you solve this problem? Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes to speak with your group mates. And imagine that you are the CEO. What are the practical things that you can do to solve the problem? Okay, so the CEO of Campbell Soup did something, specific things, and these are the results. So 2001 was the year he came in. By 2009, the company was outperforming both the S&P Food Group and the S&P 500. Sales and earnings were on the upswing. Core businesses were flourishing. Only 1 out of 17 were disengaged from 1 out of 3. Okay, so 2001 versus 2009. So in 8 years, these were the results. The results were gradual, but the results were promising. So imagine you were the CEO of Campbell's Soup. What would you do to turn around the company? Okay, so I will give you 5 minutes to speak with your team members, or 3 minutes to speak with your team members, and then we'll have volunteers later. Okay, so 3 minutes.
So let's have 4 minutes to discuss.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Motion, but still,
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I really want the prize. This is based on our brief assessment on what happened to the company. So this really one of the worst thing maybe for a CEO, for him to experience having disengaged employee and then the company is really falling. So maybe what the CEO did or what the company did is do some assessment or re-evaluation of their image. So I think they need to change the company branding, then connect with their employees, and go back to the basic. And one of the basic is check the mission vision of the company and the values.
Wow. Thank you, Mel. Wow, can we give a hand to Mel? Very comprehensive. All right.
Company, I will invite some pet consultant to discuss about this.
Very wise. All right, very wise. Invite a consultant.
Buttered coconut. So this is for your group, for your table. I hope you like it. This is really delicious. Okay, so let me reveal to you what the CEO did. So these were the things that he did. He wore a pedometer. He wore a
Pedometer, and his goal was to clock in 10,000 steps each day by interacting meaningfully to as many employees as possible. He put a human face on the company's strategy and direction. He wrote up the 20 handwritten letters every single day, and 1,000 notes, the 20,000 employees, all employees, post their post-its notes on their workstation. They felt connected. Remember, I would think of resigning. I would think of the SVP. Sha, don't resign. So that was trust and engagement by helping make Camden their hometown for more than 140 years. So those were the things he did. Very practical. Right? Okay, so we're ending in a few minutes. Actually, we'll end at exactly 4:55 p.m. And so the challenge is, how do we keep the organization human and productive at the same time? The way is to be a compassionate leader. How do you do that? To lead with care. So anytime you're experiencing a problem, think about the 4 components: connection, appreciation, responsibility, and excellence. What's lacking? Where's the gap? And how can you bridge that gap? So it's simple, right? It's a formula. And then just balance humanity and performance. Is it tilted more to the performance, or is it tilted more to humanity? How can you put balance? Okay, so I'd like to share with you one last story. I shared with you a lot of stories today, right? And it's because ever since I was young, my mama would listen to my stories for 2 hours every single day. I can't remember anymore what the stories we talked about were, but I could still remember how loved I felt because of that connection. And because of that, every time I give talks or every time I write books, it's so natural for me to share stories. And I feel that as leaders, this is something that we can take into consideration. How about we bring leadership stories to our team members? Like, we really share stories. When we meet up with friends, we don't tell our friends, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, right? We share stories. So in the workplace, how do we connect with the people in our organization? It's to share stories. If I talked about the concepts I shared with you without sharing any story, how did I sound? Maybe I sounded preachy. Maybe it didn't land in your heart because there is no context. So stories will give context. And just to complete my story about, remember when I got invited to speak on ethics to 900 government officials? So how did I do the talk? Because after the talk, people were so engaged. So it was a huge room of 900 people, round tables, and then half of their backs were turned against the stage, right? So before I stepped in, I observed how they were with the other speakers, and they were like that. And I said, okay, my challenge is to make them turn their seats towards me without telling them to turn their seats towards me. So how did that happen? It's all about human connection. It's all about care. So I framed them as superheroes worthy of trust. And that is why they were elected in their positions. Don't mind if they were elected in a clean way or not. But let's just assume they were elected in clean ways, right? So I told them they were superheroes worthy of trust. And so I shared with them what trust meant. And then towards the end, when I needed to talk to them about integrity, I talked to them from the perspective of a daughter because most of them were the age of my parents. So I talked to them by sharing them stories about how my papa displayed integrity and how it affected me as a daughter. Years from now, like I was very young when I saw how he displayed integrity, and years from now, I still remember those stories. So I talked to the parents in them through stories. That is why stories are so very important. And now, I'd like to end by inviting my dance troupe. We have a dance troupe. We have a dance troupe. Can you please come on stage? Okay, while they're coming here on stage, Maya Angelou said that I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So I'd like to invite my dance group and we will play. Kind of rush all over the world tonight, all over the world. You can hear the sound of lovers in love. You know what I mean? There's a two of us and nobody else inside. There's nobody else and I'm feeling it's holding you tight. To listen very carefully. You don't Sir Jay! Sir Jay! It isn't a dream. I-exage natin yung movements. Exage yung movements. Exage yung movements.
Yan na, may step na yan.
There's a kind of... I-end na natin. End na. Thank you! Thank you! Very carefully, get closer now and you don't see what I mean. It isn't a dream. Okay, I will end in 30 seconds. I just have one more surprise for you. You may take your seats. And by the way, can you give yourselves a round of applause for dancing so well? Okay, I have a surprise for you. You are leaders in your respective organizations, and you have the power to create magic in your workplaces. Magic means you can spark joy, like what Marie Kondo would say. You can spark possibilities in your respective teams. You have the power to create magic. And I'd like to show you a little magic that I learned, may I? And I'm going to end with this magic. Okay. So this is a notebook. All right. I'm going to flip the pages and you will see that there's nothing here. Okay? There's nothing, right? Okay. How can we create a magic wherein there are actually drawings here? Okay. Can you just close your eyes and then wish there are drawings here? Okay. So don't close your eyes, so I won't cheat. Okay. So let's make the drawings appear here, okay? But it doesn't stop there. You want to create color in the lives of your team members. You want to really connect with them and bring color to their lives. So how can you bring color to their lives? So shall we bring color to the pages here? Okay. This is Sha Nacino. This is Sha Nacino, and I wish you fearless possibilities. Thank you.